say if you or me wants to build a flying car today, we don't even know where to start. So we need some sort of platform or discussion going on to group all the experts from different disciplines so they can talk together and work together.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 204. Can an open source autonomous flying system speed up the development of flying cars? That's the hope of a group of software engineers in China. Nini Rong is the community manager for the Generalized Autonomous Aviation System, or GAAS for short. GAAS is an open source project and community dedicated to an autonomous aviation system for drones and flying cars. It offers developers and drone companies a software development platform for autonomous flight, collision avoidance, route planning, and more. The ultimate goal of the project is to provide a safe and intelligent autonomous aviation system to expedite the coming of flying cars. In this episode of the Drone Radio Show, Nini talks about the GAAS open source system, how users can access it, and its role in promoting the development of flying cars. But before we hear from Nini, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Now you have an option of making a one-time donation in any amount by going to droneradioshow.com/donate. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. And if you'd like to make a monthly contribution, you can still go to patreon.com/droneradioshow. So let's learn how an open source community hopes to advance flying cars with Nini Rong. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Nini to introduce herself.
My name is Nini. I'm the community manager of an open source autonomous aviation project, GAAS, GAAS. What we do here is we try to build a community for autonomous aviation system that's stable enough and smart enough to implement in the flying cars.
Nini, how is GAAS related to Accelerator4.ai?
Accelerator4.ai is our domain for our company, Generalized Intelligence. We are a for-profit company, but the project GAAS is completely open sourced, so it's a project for everybody.
So why did the company decide to create this project?
That's a bit of an interesting story. So we are a team of computer vision experts and drone lovers. And in the past 3 years, we have been helping enterprises to implement computer vision solutions in their existing workflow. And a lot of our clients are actually coming from energy sectors, and they have been using drones to do transmission tower inspections and things like that. So they were looking for a solution to process all the images and videos from the inspection. And that's what we were helping them to do. But as we are working with them, we realized there's a huge demand for pilots to fly drones to do the inspection, because it's a rather complex job, in fact, because you have to survey the tower and you have to maintain a 10 to 30 meter distance at all time. Then you have to control the camera to point at certain part of the transmission tower and make sure it takes clear pictures. So then we see the demands there, and we are computer vision experts, and we just thought, what if we implement some sort of a computer vision solution to help drones fly autonomously? And then maybe one day the drones will do the entire task by themselves. So that's why we started creating the project.
Are you trying to create certain types of autonomous flying drones, or just open it up to any type of mission capability that users want?
We are building a foundation for everything. We are building a foundation for collision avoidance, for autonomous flight, for route planning. Entire project is open source. That means anybody, any developer can take out code and modify it whatever way they want. They can add extra features. They can delete things. It really depends on their demands. And our project is based on PX4. So that's the most well-known, most popular flight control system out there. So yeah, anybody can use it for whatever reasons they want.
The project is not just focusing I mean, it's larger than just looking for autonomously flying drones. You're actually looking at the technology behind autonomous flying cars. Is that correct?
Definitely, yes. The ultimate goal, maybe in 5-10 years, is to transfer the entire system to flying cars.
So why do we need flying cars?
Okay, so this question has a two-part answer. One is more rational and one is more romantic. So the rational reason behind it is that I think we have already seen a lot of the issues in the existing transportation system. First of all, the infrastructure or roads needs to be built and subject to the geography. So if there's a mountain, you have to go around it. This river, you have to build a bridge. So this increases the maintenance cost. And secondly, once the roads are built, it's very difficult for us to change it. So it's a sort of one-time commitment sort of thing. And in a city like Beijing, which is very busy and we have way too many cars, and as the technology changes, there are more cars adding to the city, but we cannot add more roads anymore. So it becomes a problem to the community.
So what sort of challenges that we have to go through? I mean, flying cars are a pretty big leap from where we're at today.
So I think there are a lot of challenges, but there are three of the major things that we need to get out of the way before we think about anything else. And the first one is definitely level of awareness and the market acceptance. People have to be comfortable with the idea. People have to start thinking about flying cars and start finding solutions to build such things. And I think at this point, most people still think flying cars are decades away from us. Why, in fact, the technology is almost there. We just need the final push to realize it.
When you say we're almost there, are there companies or systems that are somewhat operational now?
We don't have anyone who's actually doing it for operation now, but a lot of companies are experimenting around it, especially Uber. Uber is not only looking at building it. Uber has all the other hardware manufacturer company building it for them. But Uber wants to build a flying car network, just like the one they built with taxi. Then there are other companies that have prototypes. It's not for sale now, but it's functional enough. Like the Chinese company Yihang, they have lands from the government and they do passenger carrying vehicles within that testing landfill.
You said there were three key challenges that we have to overcome, and the awareness was one of them. What's the other ones?
The second one is definitely safety. So when you think about such technology, safety always the first thing that comes to our mind, not only for the passengers, but also for the community. And third one is technology barrier. So say if you or me want to build a flying car today, we don't even know where to start. Like for a developer, for an engineer, or for anyone out there, really, like where do we start to build a flying car? So we need some sort of platform or discussion going on to group all the experts from different disciplines so they can talk together and work together to build a functional, such a fantastic, but also complex machine, right?
Is there different hardware, software requirements? What do we actually need to start thinking about building a flying car? Obviously, we need the car, right?
Yes, definitely. Obviously, we need the car, the vehicle itself. And not only that, to build a car and to make it commercially available, you need an entire supply chain behind it. You need manufacturers, you need people who make the material for it. And that's one part. And from the software part, we need a stable, safe, functional system that controls our car. And one of the biggest challenges is how do we know the software is actually reliable, right? How many tasks do we have to do and what kind of tasks do we have to do before we sending people up on the air?
How does GAAS fit into some of these challenges and some of the questions that you identified? Is GAAS going to help us answer those questions?
I think GAAS is a good start. The one thing about GAAS is that it's a living project, which is, I think that's the most fascinating part about it. The first thing it helps is that it raises level of awareness for both drones and flying cars. So if we think about people today, if you're flying your DJI on the street, people might be curious. People think it's really cool. And some people might even have concerns about a drone flying over the top of their head. There's definitely regulations about it too. So For me, I think this is not an environment ready for flying cars, right? Like we have to be comfortable enough to have drones in our life, to have something flying over our head all the time, to have a flying car available commercially. So one thing GAAS can help is that once we make drones more available, make drones smarter, more intelligent, drones can help us accomplish more tasks, such as inspecting rooftops or delivering our packages. And people will be more comfortable with such technology. And that will definitely help in raising awareness and acceptance of flying cars.
So how does GAAS actually work? How do users get to it, use it, and actually make it a functional part of their own products?
So GAAS is a 4-part project. We have software, hardware, a SDK, and a tutorial coming along with it. So the hardware part is actually a small box, not a lot bigger, maybe like a size of 3 or 4 iPhone. So it has a stereo camera in it, has the computing unit necessary in it. So the entire hardware is also open source. You can decide to look at our list and purchase by yourself, or you can purchase from us. And the software part is what we build to control the hardware. You can choose to modify our code a bit to meet your own demands, or you can simply use our SDK just to use whatever functionality we have already developed. We have collision avoidance, we have 3D reconstruction, we have route planning. And on top of SDK, you can teach your drones to do specific tasks, such as you can ask your drones to do inspection every 30 minutes by itself, or you can teach your drones to pick up certain things from this room and send it over to that room, things like that. And we have a bi-weekly tutorial session online. So that's where we're going to teach people how to get started with our SDK, how to install our hardware, how to put together a drone that's functional.
For those that start using GAAS and the hardware and the software, how do you get them to start actually working on the technology and the innovations that's required for a flying car? Is there some sort of guided workshop or guided work program that people participate in, or is it all just supposed to happen organically?
We are the one who started the community. So we're definitely pushing for new discussions, and we do host workshops, especially in university as we're in Beijing. So we're working with Tsinghua University, Peking University to have workshops in school to help them build things hands-on. But I think flying cars is such a large topic. It's not an effort of one person or one team or one company. So what we are really trying to do is to encourage a discussion around it. Like we don't even need to think about the technology necessarily. We just want people to start thinking there is a possibility a flying car might be available in a couple of years. And then I think as the discussion warms up, people will start thinking of new ideas and people will start collaborating together.
So how long has the project been going on? When did it start?
We started building our software and hardware part in-house about a year ago, and we just launched it on GitHub about two and a half weeks ago.
Do you have an idea of how many people have signed up and registered for it?
Within 2 weeks, we already have 400 people started our project. So that's very, very fascinating for us, a very exciting time. And the users are currently more of a software developer. So we're also trying to make it simpler so that even people without that many development skills will also be able to use our software.
In terms of the people that are involved, are they primarily from China or the United States? Where are they coming from so far?
Mostly it's from China and some from United States. So we have been promoting our project in the PX4 community, so DIY drones. So a lot of the core members there are also participating in testing or developing our project.
Now, a person doesn't have to be a programmer or a technical person to participate in the project, or do they?
Not really. So there are actually a lot of non-programming related tasks in the community, such as writing up documentations, or even helping us promoting our project, or even like me, I just organize events in Beijing to make people meet up and have a discussion. So there are tons of ways to help us grow the community and encourage conversation. So no, like we don't need to write thousands lines of code to join the program or join the project.
Has there been any discussion, especially in cities like Beijing, where it's so dense and large, about designing buildings to accommodate flying cars in the future?
I think this is a very good question because I actually want to hear your point of view about this, because I'm actually not sure if this is going to happen in a urban area or it's more going to happen in a remote area, right? So first of all, I don't know if it's going to be in a well-developed country like the United States or it's going to be in the underdeveloped area. And the discussion is also about whether it's going to be intercity, like from San Francisco to San Jose, or it's more like within the city, but from one building to another. Or is it more like from downtown San Jose to the airport, right, to a more remote area? So discussion has been going on and a lot of questions are up in the air. And I would really love to hear what you think.
Well, I think that it may be a little bit too early, but at the same time, I think architects need to be thinking about the future. Some of this technology might be in place in 10 years and they have a building. Can it be retrofitted to provide a landing bay at some height? But I think it's worthwhile for those in the urban planning area to begin opening themselves up to some futuristic design ideas and how technology like drones and some of the autonomous vehicles might change the way cities are designed. Will they make them more compact or will they allow them to be more spread out?
What do you think is some of the frictions that will pop up as we are making the transformation?
Well, I think it's a couple that you mentioned. Safety is going to be the biggest one. We see it already with the autonomous driving cars.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
But I think that's the first thing. People have to feel comfortable getting into a flying vehicle or knowing that the flying vehicle isn't going to fall on them. So safety is the biggest one, as I think everybody has talked about. And then the other parts will just be the cost. Obviously, you don't want to have a flying mass transit system that only wealthy people can use. You want to be able to have something that's accessible for everyone if it's going to be workable.
Maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think the transformation cost might just be easier for autonomous flight than compared to autonomous cars, right? Because we have been driving for over 100 years now. So all the rules are designed for human drivers, right? So all the infrastructure and rules are set for human drivers. So now we have autonomous cars. So there's differences for humans and machines. And that transformation is sort of a friction for autonomous cars. But for flying cars or drones, the thing is so new. It has only been around or commercially available for the past 5-10 years. So we can design the rules and infrastructure with a brand new beginning, right? It's a fresh start.
There might be something to say to that since there's no history of flying cars, that whatever is put in place will be much easier adopted because people will gravitate to it quicker.
What do you think will motivate the urban planners to start thinking about this, or even the government? What will make the government want to make such transformation to become a flying car friendly area?
Typically, things like this usually happen in the research centers. There's some university or somebody that is actually taking it on as a research project to stimulate some thought, or maybe it's a master's student or a PhD that is writing some papers about design, which then stimulates the research field, those that are in the field, and begin talking about possibilities. Until a developer says, I want to do this, and maybe there's a developer that's looking for some type of promotion. He wants to do something that will get a lot of publicity. So being able to say, I've designed my building to be the first to be able to accommodate autonomous drones, package delivery, or flying drones, he might be able to stimulate some interest just because he's looking for the hype that goes along with it. And then that might get others in the field. But right now, regulations don't really allow drones to do the things that we are talking about doing. So I think the typical planner and architect is just not looking at it as an option because they don't see how it fits in yet as an economic option or something that someone actually would put into a building.
Definitely.
So tell us what's next for the project. You just rolled it out. You're getting users. So what are the next several months going to be like?
The next several months is going to be us implementing more features on the project. We will be continuously growing in the community, of course. And we are also happy to hear feedbacks and opinions on the project because we are designing this for everybody who's interested in flying cars, right? So we know what we need to build flying cars, but we don't know what everybody needs to build flying cars. So we're also flexible to change our roadmaps down the road to meet demands from different developers, basically.
Yes. Okay, Nina, just as a closing statement, can you tell us what message that you'd like to leave listeners about the GAAS project and how it will impact their lives?
GAAS is an open community for everyone to join. We welcome anyone who's interested in the topic of drones and flying cars in general to join our discussion. Together, we can make the process of flying car development as easy as possible for whoever's interested. So regardless who you are, if you're interested, you can find us at the GitHub link or our Slack chat group on the website, and we're happy to see you there.
That's it for episode 204 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Nina Rong of the GAAS project. I want to thank Nina for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about GAAS or connect with Nina, check out the discussion at github.com/generalize-intelligence/GAAS. You can also find this URL on my website. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate or patreon.com/droneradioshow. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.